Hello, this is Dr. Eileen, and this is Medicine Walk. And for those of you who are listening on Blog Talk Radio, this is Healing House Radio. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful week. I hope that you're doing all right. If you're in a part of the world or a part of the country where the weather's been really bad, I really hope everything's okay. And hang in there. And our thoughts and prayers everywhere are with you. So, I've been talking to a lot of people about a term called triggering. And it's something that, basically it can mean different things to different people. But what it can most often mean is that a person, a place, or an event has triggered something within someone that brings up an old memory of either a hurt or a pain or a fear or an anger that, basically puts them back emotionally and energetically and psychologically in that moment. So it makes it really tough to separate the event that triggers from the memory that was brought up. And right now, here in the States, it is very much about people feeling triggered by events, by political events, and we're not going to get all into that, and we're just not. Because it's not so much as what the triggering event is, as it is about understanding why we get triggered and what actually is the process, not only that takes us there, but what is the process we can use to get out of it. And, I have been triggered too. I've had things come up, and it is interesting because when I look at it from, first off, questioning, why am I feeling as intensely as I am? And then just by beginning that process that I've kind of gotten used to in myself, it's sort of a questioning thing where it's like, okay, I'm feeling really angry. And then it becomes a question of why. Why am I feeling angry? If I'm feeling really, really scared, I will ask myself, is there anything in my immediate environment for me to be scared of? And if the answer to that is no, then it's like, okay, so this is a part of a thought process. What is it that's triggering that fear? What is it that is this in a fairly innocent environment, there's something that's causing me to react. And it's that reaction that it's really easy to fall into. Because, and especially if an action reminds you or makes you think of old wounding that you received. And yes, that is all over the place. Right now especially. And this is a good thing. It is a really good thing, because the best thing about being triggered is that it brings whatever it is you're feeling to the surface, so it's not buried anymore. Because it's really easy for us to, bury stuff down and, pack things on top of what we don't want to feel so that we can get on with our lives. And then it ends up in some little corner of ourselves, and it doesn't get resolved, and it doesn't get worked with. And being in a situation where maybe it was something that you didn't even consciously remember, and then suddenly something happens and it is like it's there in that moment right then, and that can be a pretty scary place to be. So if you're experiencing this, first off, I'm sorry. I really am. And second, you're not alone. And third, there is help. And it can, right now it's about things that regard wounding, like around sex and and violations and things like that. But violations can happen in more than one way. It could be someone who feels cheated, that they were taken advantage of by someone. And it doesn't even have to be on a physical level to be a profound, thing. If you feel that you were betrayed by someone, especially someone you trusted, in any way, maybe they talked about you behind your back, or maybe they, they took something that belonged to you. So whatever it is that is the source of the triggering, because the event that's happening now isn't the source. The source is where it comes from. It's where that deep-seated, little thing that got stuff piled up on it is. So once it's identified that you're feeling something, not because so much of what is here, because you can see things, in the news and all of that, and it makes you angry. And then it's like, wow, that's not cool. That's bad. We need to do something about that. But then there's a place where it takes it to a whole nother level. And when you get to that other level, and it becomes like enraged, it becomes, just really consuming, you know that it's intense when it removes your ability to choose, when you go into reaction. And, the responses become very extreme, and the defending, of the position, or the persecution of whoever that is, it's like, no, we need to get them. And often it is because there's these things inside of us saying, it's like, well, if we can't get the person who did this, they're just like them, and we can get them. And like I said, this is a good thing. This is something that allows us to heal. It's something that allows us to move forward. It allows us to take a good hard look at that thing, that whatever it is that's inside of us, that memory, that experience. Because if an experience has been really bad, it's like, no, I will consciously and subconsciously bury this. And then when it comes out, and it may be years and years and years later, then it's as if it's happening right then. This type of stuff has no calendar. It does not recognize time passing. That time is now. You're experiencing it in that moment. So, how do you find your way out? Because that's a very easy place to get stuck. I know very well that it's a very easy place to get stuck, because I have been stuck there before. And it takes a lot of work to be able to really look at something, to separate what's happening now from what happened then. What is at the heart of it? And like I said, I do question and answering, because I find that if I'm answering questions, it takes some of the edge off. There's that like kind of a left brain, right brain type of thing. The left side, the analytical side, and the right side, creative. That's where stories get created. So if my left brain is saying, you know what? Okay, we're at level 10 upset. Now, is what happened worth level 10? And I have to really think to myself, it's like, okay, technically no, but I'm really upset about it. And it's like, okay, and right brain's going, yeah, but, and it's like, okay, and then, left brain, all right, I hear you, but, let's break this down a little bit. So if that's not a level 10 stimulus, but you're at a level 10 aggravation, where is the level 10 stimulus? And that's when I start looking at what it is that's going on inside of me. What am I feeling? What does this make me think of? Because if I take some time and stop and just, it's like, okay, if I'm not thinking about that, if that isn't enough to make me just spin out, what is it? And, and I start kind of going through my memories. It's like, first thing I do is like, okay, when was another time in my life that I felt like this? When was another time in my life that I felt this aggravation, that I felt this sense of betrayal, that I felt this sense of violation? And as I start kind of going through my memories, I can start kind of piecing together, oh, wait a minute, there was this one time that this particular thing happened. And I remember that was the last time I felt like this. So a really good question to ask yourself was, when was the last time I felt like this? And often that can be a good path to, kind of start putting the pieces together to be able to say, all right, what is the thing that is causing me this much pain and this much aggravation? So once you start piecing it together, in most cases you notice that the rage level starts to go down when you start to pick it apart, when you start to analyze. That is like the awesome thing about the left brain. It's not about the feeling, it's about the fact. It's about the emotion. It's not about the emotion, it's about the experience. And when I go into that space, and I call it my doctor space, because as a doctor, if somebody comes to me and they're saying they're having back pain, and often people are very emotional when they're in pain, and it can be really very traumatizing, especially if you don't know what's causing the pain, and it's a sudden pain, and then you're afraid that it's going to mean something else, or that you're never going to feel better again. So there's a lot of emotion that goes with being in pain, and in order to really break down what it is that I need to find out in order to help them, I kind of have to get them out of that space. So I start asking questions. And in some cases, it'll be questions that I already know what the answer to is. I may, if they're having leg pain, I'll say, okay, when I squeeze your toes, does that increase the pain? And usually it won't. If it does, then that tells me something. But as I ask questions, I go to what is unlikely. If I squeeze someone's toes and say, does that increase your back pain? And they'll usually go, well, no. And I'll go, okay, good. And then I'll move up the leg. And it's like, okay, if I squeeze here, does that increase your back pain? Or does that change your back pain? Well, no. And then they'll start to wonder, it's like, what is she doing? The pain's in my back. But then, and I'll start saying, it's like, okay, do you experience any weakness with it, or is it just pain? No, I don't feel weak, it's just pain. Okay, good. And see, every time I say, okay, good, then they start seeing, okay, it's not as bad as it could be. And I can sense them starting to calm down. So what I'm doing is I'm triggering their left brain. I'm taking them out of the story, because right brain is excellent for story. And that's a good thing. You need that sometimes. That's how we know to tell ourselves a better story when everything around us, as I say, life is fun until it isn't, and it sucks until it doesn't. And no matter how fun it is, at some point it's going to suck, and no matter how much it sucks, at some point it's going to be fun. But during those times that it sucks until it doesn't, you can tell yourself a better story about how it's going to be once this passes. You know what, by this time next year, I'm not going to be worried about this, and this is going to be fine. So anyway, by engaging the analytical part, we can be able to sort of start, it becomes a mystery. It becomes something to solve, which the left brain is excellent at. So when you start thinking, I'm really feeling upset, or I'm really feeling angry, but this does not rate the level of anger I feel. And it takes a little practice to be able to learn to gauge. It's like, okay, here's the anger I'm feeling, but here's where the stimulus is. And there's a gap here. I shouldn't be this angry based on this. And once you start to break that down, then you can start to go to, the question, when was the last time I felt like this? What was the last thing that I can remember that triggered my feeling like this? So then you start to go back and you start to take a look at what it is that could be bringing that sort of feeling up? What is adding to it? What is augmenting it? There's outrage, and then there's rage. Then there's that pain place. Because usually, if it reaches that point, there's pain involved. So, and if you have somebody who is just like really wound up about something, I was wound up about something a few days ago, and it was funny because my son kind of talked me down through it, and I hadn't realized that I was escalating it in my own mind, and he just started kind of gently playing devil's advocate with me. It's like, well, Mom, da 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 da. And it's like, well, yeah, but. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. What I'm experiencing and what triggered it, there's a gap. It's not the same. I shouldn't be feeling this much over this much of an observation. So that kind of helped me, and it can be really helpful to have somebody else who you trust, who you can connect with, to say, okay, all right, I get it, you're feeling this, it's obviously very intense, and does this action really put you here in what you're feeling? Let's talk about that. And it could be something that is, maybe you stubbed your toe while rushing to get ready for work. And all of a sudden, it's just like this devastated feeling or this huge anger. It's like, if you're going to get really angry off something like that, that means that there was something under there that needed to get out. There's something inside of you that needs to be released. And so, you bang your toe, you yell or you cry or whatever, and then afterwards you feel that sense of release. But the thing is, if you don't get to what's triggering the triggering, then you don't reach that place of going, oh, okay, that's where I need my attention. That's where I need to put my energy. Because if you put your energy into the thing that's triggering you, or the thing that triggered you, then there's a gap. It's sort of like dealing with a symptom when you need to be dealing with the cause. That, getting triggered is a symptom. And it's a symptom of something that is needing attention inside of you. So when you consider what it is that is causing you pain, and there's nothing physically around you that's causing it, but and the thing is, understand your pain is real. You're not imagining it. Please, please, please do not ever think that, I'm saying that it's not real or it's in your head or whatever. This is real. And whatever it is that was the underlying cause of why this event was so hurtful to you, that's real too. And it's not overreacting. It's not, anything that you should be, ashamed of or embarrassed by or to be made feel bad for. This is because there's something that needs attention. There's something that wants to be healed. There's something that's ready to be healed, and it's letting you know that it's there. And, as I said, I've had events in my life that I, definitely don't ever want to have happen to me again. And, there was one that for a lot of years I didn't think about. I didn't, it just kind of faded from my memory, and then something some years back happened, and it came back full flood. And that took some work. And the thing is, it does take work. It takes help. If you're hitting one of these places and then you suddenly remember something that is very traumatic, okay, get help. find someone you can talk to. Find a professional you can talk to. This isn't what, oh, gee, I experienced this, and what do all my Facebook friends say? No. Something like this needs specific help. It needs somebody who can be able to help you walk through it so you don't get stuck in it, because that's the problem, is that suddenly something comes back up and maybe you remember, and it's very, traumatizing for you. If you don't have a way to be able to walk through that and come out the other side, then that's right where you get stuck. And that's not a good place to be. That's the badness. So be able to identify that there's somebody who can be able to help you. You can speak to a therapist. You can, if you have a religious or spiritual, counselor that you speak to. Find somebody, a school counselor, whoever it is, somebody that you can trust to be able to say, okay, who can be left brain but still be supportive, because and it's tough, because sometimes when you talk to other people about your wounding, it triggers them, and then suddenly that's all they can think about is their wounding, and their right brain has gone nuts, going back into that place. So just be able to talk to somebody. And you can say, it's like, what, I've got this place of wounding, I need somebody to talk to about it. Can you do that for me? Because you don't want anybody who's going to tell you how to fix it. It's not about that. It's about finding a way through the experience where you can actually look at it and figure out what it means to you, what you want to do about it, and how you want to navigate that. Anybody who starts off as, well, what you need to do, I know what you're feeling, and what you need to do is, no. First off, nobody knows what anybody's feeling. We could have similar experiences, and we can say, I've had a similar experience, but I don't know what you're feeling. Can you tell me? And that lets the person be able to be empowered to start talking about it, because, see, that's the first step of moving through it, is to be able to talk about it, to be able to express about it. So having a neutral source, a left brain person who isn't going to try to give you solutions, but to help you go into a space where you can find your own. And then, once you've done all that, once you've identified it, once you've, kind of talked it out, then the place comes for, what do you want to do about it? What is your choice? How do you want to manage this? Do you want to confront someone? Do you want to, and the thing is, it's just like, these are the things that you think of over time. You meditate on them, you consider it, you talk a lot, because, if you want to confront, if you want to just be able to find balance with it within yourself. Does this action make you want to go and say, get involved in something, or, join a protest, or take action on behalf of others, to become an advocate, to support organizations that correct whatever this is? These are all things that can restore our sense of empowerment with the things that happen to us. We don't choose what happens to us. I was like, well, deep down, you'd called it on yourself. See, I don't believe that. I think that our choices can set up consequences, but often things that happen are based on someone else's choices. So if you're trying to find balance with a choice that someone else made, that's nothing you can control. You had no choice in that. Your only choice is, how do you want to deal with it? How do you want to handle it? And this can be done without going into a place of hopelessness. You don't have to feel hopeless. You don't have to feel helpless. And it's very normal to go through that phase, go through that part, and then find your balance. Because whatever it is that you feel in that moment is just what you feel in that moment. You have the opportunity to be able to move forward from that. Just because you're there, you're at hopelessness or you're at feeling helpless, that's just a part of you is feeling helpless. The capacity to love inside you, your love isn't feeling helpless. Your courage isn't feeling helpless. Your fear may be feeling helpless, but not all of you is helpless. So it's by acknowledging this is what I feel in this moment. And then you work with it. And then once it's no longer something that you're hiding within your... People talk about a conspiracy of silence. The conspiracy of silence can be completely internal. When we don't listen to our inner child who's saying, I'm not safe. No, I'm going to, put up this face and this facade that I have everything under control and nothing bothers me. Well, everything bothers somebody, and at some point we all get bothered by something. So embrace what it is that you decide you want to do about it. And nobody gets to decide that but you. You decide for yourself. What will help you? And talking to somebody will definitely help you to figure out how you want to navigate this, how you want to process this, so that way it doesn't ever have to hurt you or trigger you again. That you can move past it. And you can do this. I know it's hard, but you can do this. Absolutely. And you may need help, but you can do this. I believe in you. I know you're strong. And I don't care that I don't know you. I know you are strong. I know that you can bear more than you ever thought you could. And this may be coming up now because it's time for you to be able to let it go for good. And I know that would feel really good. I know that when I'm able to let something go, it feels really, really good. So, yes, these are triggering times. But the thing is that we can look for the gift in the triggering. We can look for the opportunity in the triggering. We can look for the healing in the triggering. Because you're not alone. And there are people who are struggling with it as much as you are. And you can help each other. You can be the inspiration for someone else to step up and take ownership. It's really easy to just keep stacking stuff on top of it and, getting mad at whatever's, the stimulus. You can go after the cure instead of just going after the symptom. I know you can. And I wish you luck. And if in any way I can assist you, my contact information is available. You can contact me through the Medicine Walk Facebook page, and it's Medicine Walk with Dr. Eileen. You can contact me through Twitter. My website, the-healing-house.com. So there's lots of ways. And so if you want more information or if you have more questions, one-on-one, please feel free to contact me. And we can see about what resources are available to you. So, thank you. This wasn't an easy one to do. And I kind of thought about it. But I felt it was important. Especially as someone who, has been there. Like I said, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I may have gone through something similar. So, be safe. Be well. And just be blessed. And know that my thoughts and prayers are with you. And there's probably a lot of people also who are there for you. So thank you. And if you would like to support this channel, or if you found this valuable, you can like, you can subscribe. It's always fun to see the community grow. You can comment, because I love to hear your input. I love to hear what you have to say to it. What are your tools that help when you're feeling triggered. And you might even want to, maybe post on your Facebook page, when I feel triggered, this is something that helps. Because that way we're contributing to the solution, not the problem. And you can share the video. If you would really like to, support at a different level, then the link for my Patreon account is in the description, and you can become a sponsor. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking this journey with me, as I am honored to take this journey with you. And as always, I wish you balance, and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you. Bye.